I'm Nick Meyer and I welcome you to this discussion about weight loss, maintenance, and how to succeed at both. While this discussion will be centered around the findings in the ProportionFit Diet, it will also touch on other general principles and topics related to diet, exercise, and portion control. During this discussion, we will learn why weight control is important, why other methods fall short, how to manage intake by counting cups rather than calories, and how to apply this knowledge to your specific situation. Living in Minnesota but also having worked and lived in Wisconsin, I find it almost necessary to quote Vince Lombardi. He once said, "The difference between a successful person and others is not a lack of strength, not a lack of knowledge, but rather a lack of will." While he certainly was not referring to dieting when he said this, it is applicable to many facets of life, including dieting. This is one of the many inspirational and motivational quotes sprinkled throughout the ProportionFit Diet to give some added perspective. So, why should we worry about weight? Perhaps worry is not the right word, but we should show concern about the weight problem that many of us have as individuals, but also the weight problem that we may have as a society. This weight problem affects our bones and joints, which suffer and wear under the strain of added load. It compromises our cardiovascular system as the heart and peripheral blood vessels have to work harder to push that blood through a greater distance as it courses through our enlarged frames. The increased weight puts us at increased risk of diabetes, including all of the downstream effects of diabetes, and often leads to sleep apnea, to name a few potential medical problems. Our self-image and self-esteem are often negatively affected by the increased weight. While most of us cannot achieve supermodel status, with the exception of any supermodels that may be watching this, and it certainly is okay to be proud and comfortable with the skin you're in, there is an upside to working on getting ourselves as healthy as possible. As well, when we lose weight, it takes less energy to move this now lighter body around, resulting in increased energy and ability to run, dance, skip, or hop. Even if that's not your goal, you never know when the spirit may move you. Finally, losing weight is actually easier on your wallet. Since our food consumption correlates with our weight, if we can cut our weight down by 25%, we will save 25% on our food bill. Not to mention less gas to propel us around for the car, less wear and tear on our shoes and other clothing, etc. There is, in fact, a large upside to downsizing. In this body mass index, or BMI chart, you can find your height and weight and calculate your approximate BMI. While BMI is not a perfect measure of healthy weight, it gives you a good idea of where you are and an even better idea as to where you may want to be. For example, a portly 6-foot-tall man that weighs 225 pounds, like I used to, would have a BMI of 30.5. However, an incredibly fit 6-foot-tall NFL running back that also weighs 225 pounds would have the same BMI of 30.5. However, one is fit and the other is not. Thus, the chart does not really differentiate between fat versus muscle and is not perfect by any means. Some have even joked that the BMI chart simply says that they are too short. Well, I do not have any good advice for growing taller, so let's work on the weight loss aspect instead. To familiarize ourselves with the BMI chart, let's take an example of someone who's 5 foot 10 inches tall, or 70 inches tall, and weighs 210 pounds. They would find their height on the left side of the table, and as we track that row across, we would find the weight which is closest to 210 pounds, which is 209 pounds. And we would follow this up to the column header, where we find a BMI of 30. The BMI chart shows that this individual is considered obese, with the different BMI headings as normal, overweight, obese, and extremely obese. There's another label which is underweight, which is not shown on this table. So that gives you an idea of BMI. Most of us should have a goal of being in the normal category, at least down to 27 or less, which is very reasonable. While Gloria Steinem's quote applies to many things, it is especially applicable to our diets and the BMI chart. The truth will set you free, but first it will piss you off. Now that you've looked at the BMI chart, how do you feel? So, why do most diets fail? In reality, the ideal treatment for anything, including weight control, has to satisfy three criteria. It should be simple, effective, and inexpensive. Most memberships, meal plans, trainers, and the like can be effective in the short term, but become expensive in the long term as you try to manage your weight for life. Simply being told to eat less is great, but how much less? No one has really quantified that before, other than through counting calories, which is difficult at best, and thus the quote, just eat less, end quote, technique is not reproducible, and therefore ineffective in practice. Finally, diet pills, supplements, HCG, and whatever the latest fad or drug may be effective in the short term, but again becomes expensive and of questionable utility in the long term. I believe we have struck a balance in the ProportionFit Diet by offering the book at an inexpensive price, creating an incredibly simple plan, and showing its effectiveness both in theory and in practice. The ProportionFit Diet is unique in that it is simple and reproducible, involving arming the individual with the knowledge of what has to be done in an extremely simple and straightforward manner. No more relying on meal plans, supplements, or others. The control is simply put back into your hands. The diet is also effective. It's a classic cut of calories leading to weight loss. In a recent study, showed that weight loss of greater than 15 pounds over 2 months was easily achieved in those that followed the diet closely. Finally, it's inexpensive. Ebooks are available for as little as $6.99 and paperbacks for only $15. There's nothing more to buy after that. In fact, you end up saving money on the food and affect your bottom line positively in more ways than one. As mentioned previously, a recent group was studied with 18 participants with an average weight of 203 pounds to start. Thus, it was not an extremely heavy group. Many studies will report results from individuals who are extremely heavy when they start, or they lose a lot of water weight initially. This, however, was a real cohort of average people. We had 12 females and 6 males in the group with the goal of losing at least 20 pounds eventually. We collected data over a 2-month period as they followed the ProportionFit diet and found that the average weight loss was over 13 pounds. With those that followed the program closely, losing over 15 pounds on average. We currently are collaborating with St. Catherine's University to set up some more specific and scientific clinical trials. Stay tuned for more. So, what's with all this talk of counting cups? We know that on average, individuals burn about 15 calories per pound of body weight. While this can vary for the sedentary with a lower calorie expenditure or the active with a higher calorie expenditure, we can generally calculate one's daily calorie needs by multiplying their weight by 14. If your food and calorie intake outpaces your expenditures over time, you will gain weight. If your intake is less than your expenditures, you will lose weight. And it takes about 3,500 calories to gain or lose a pound of fat. Can you imagine counting all those calories? We've devised a method to count cups of food consumed instead. It is just that simple. All food items have 3 primary sources of calories in the form of fat, protein, and carbohydrates. Fruits and vegetables are higher in carbohydrates. Meats and nuts are higher in fat and protein. Seafood and fish, chicken and tofu are primarily protein, while pasta and grains are primarily carbohydrates with a little bit of protein mixed in. Finally, as discussed in the book, you need to avoid drinking calories. Calories are calories are calories, and either way will affect your system. This is one of the many charts in the book outlining the calorie content of many food items, in this case meat, poultry, and seafood. As shown in this table, a cup of crab meat is only 120 calories per cup, whereas a cup of sausage is 440 calories. On average, a cup of meat, poultry, or seafood will average 310 calories per cup. This next chart shows us calorie counts for different vegetables. As displayed, the average for a cup of vegetables is only 90 calories, with only 10 calories in a cup of spinach and 240 calories in a cup of potatoes. However, throw those same potatoes into a deep fryer and turn them into French fries, and they go up to 480 calories per cup. So, what does this all mean? Assuming that one eats a balanced diet of fruits, vegetables, meats, grains, and even some desserts, the average calorie count found in a cup of food in general is 270 calories. And, as discussed previously, we burn approximately 14 calories per pound. Therefore, we need about 1 cup of food to provide enough calories to sustain 20 pounds of body weight. So whether you know it or not, you are eating approximately 1 cup of food for every 20 pounds that you weigh. You've probably never thought of it that way. It is time to start thinking about it that way. Here is the truth. A simple 1 cup of extra food taken in daily on a regular basis will make you 20 pounds heavier. 2 extra cups will make you 40 pounds heavier. 3 cups, 60 pounds, and so on. The problem is your body is telling you to take in enough calories to sustain itself, and sometimes maybe a little bit more. We have to take this knowledge and make a very conscious effort to control our intake. It is just that simple. Now we have to figure out how to apply this knowledge. Since we know that an additional cup of food daily will add 20 pounds to your frame, let's use that same knowledge to lose weight. To put this knowledge into practice, we can first calculate our maintenance intake by dividing our current weight by 20 pounds. This gives us an approximate number of cups to consume daily. In order to lose weight, we can cut one or more cups from our diet to lose weight. For every cup that we withhold, we will lose approximately 1/2 pound weekly. Thus, a 2-cup deficit daily will allow 1 pound loss per week, a 3-cup deficit daily, 1.5 pounds per week, and a 4-cup deficit daily, 2 pounds loss per week. However, everyone needs to consume at least 4 cups daily to avoid starving the body. This is not a starvation diet. Sounds like a simple plan, right? Well, as Mike Tyson once said, unrelated to this diet plan, of course, everyone has a plan till they get punched in the mouth. This type program, it shouldn't be a punch in the mouth, but maybe a kick in the shins. That should be about it. So let's look at an example of a theoretical individual on the ProportionFit diet. This person, Pat Johnson, wants to lose 175 pounds from his or her 300-pound frame. This is an aggressive goal, but very much doable. Based on the 300-pound initial weight, this would require approximately 15.5 cups of food to maintain that weight. A 125-pound person, however, only requires 6.5 cups of food. Thus, Pat is going to eat as if his or her weight was only 125 pounds. This leads to a 9-cup deficit initially, which means that Pat is going to lose as much as 2 pounds every 3 days. Since it requires a deficit of approximately 3,500 calories or 13 cups to lose a pound of weight. The initial weight loss can be fairly rapid, but as Pat's weight decreases, it will be better to transition to a 4-cup deficit. That transition occurs at approximately 200 pounds, and before long, Pat reaches the goal. In fact, at 1 year, Pat is only about 20 pounds short of the goal. Near the end of the program, Pat should not have dropped below 4 cups per day, but did so for the final 10 weeks. Once Pat reaches the goal weight, then he went into the maintenance intake of 6.5 cups per day and uses that volume of intake to maintain the goal weight of 125 pounds. You'll see at the beginning of the program there's a large difference between the number of cups consumed to maintain the current weight versus the cups actually consumed, leading to a rapid weight loss. However, at this juncture, where the weight's approximately 200 pounds, Pat transitions to a 4-cup deficit, always maintaining 4 cups less than whatever the maintenance intake should be. Once the goal is reached, then Pat goes to 6.5 cups per day to maintain that weight. It is just that simple. So, given all that has been presented, let's review what we have hopefully learned over the last several minutes. Weight control is important for the correction or prevention of multiple medical problems, including diabetes, heart disease, arthritis, sleep apnea, and weight control can lead to financial savings and improvement in self-esteem as well as energy. We have also learned why other diets fall short due to their lack of simplicity, ineffectiveness in the short or long term, or they're just too expensive. The ProportionFit diet, however, satisfies all of these criteria. By using the simple technique of counting cups of food consumed rather than trying to count calories, we can control our intake and use that knowledge to lose weight or maintain a healthy weight. The ProportionFit diet formula then allows you to lose weight in a predictable and regular manner, and for every cup that you cut out of your daily diet, you will lose a 1/2 pound per week. Or, alternatively, you can eat to the number of cups that correlates with your goal weight. Either way, you can lose. While this is just a brief overview of the concept behind the ProportionFit diet, I hope that you can take something from it and apply it to your own life and lifestyle. This isn't a diet just for losing weight, it's a diet for making a lifelong dietary change. For more information, please visit ProportionFit.com. Books are available for purchase online at ProportionFit.com, Amazon.com, Lulu.com, that's Lulu.com, and at St. Croix Orthopedics, Barnes & Noble, and will likely be available at additional locations in the near future. Thank you for your interest, tell your friends, and good luck. You can and will succeed if you follow these simple concepts. If you have any questions, do not hesitate to contact me at ProportionFit.com. Thank you.